destruction kind of like floating around, which basically means that the equipment strategy that usually is getting played is a little bit worse. We've got another game. It's Ben Lundquist versus Braun-Duin. Solar Flare versus Blue-White Delver. Ben Lundquist, actually, despite being quite young, it's quite an old hand at this. I would call him one of the more experienced players in the field. He's playing Blue-White Delver, and his version basically runs the pikes over the Spectral fights that we were talking about. He does have mana leaks, but he does have one misstep in the deck, which mental misstep seems to be making a little bit more of a presence in these Delver decks.
On the other side of the table, Braun-Duin playing what we were talking about earlier, Esper. And this Esper deck, it has Sun Titan and Phantasmal Image for that kind of solar flary style of control. And then he has Day of Judgment, Go for the Throat, and Lingering Souls. In theory, this is a pretty good matchup for him, at least from a historical standpoint. But you know what? Even if, let's say, it's a 75% matchup, it doesn't mean you win. 75% is not 100%.
Yep. So he's not adopting some of the more familiar, cutting edge elements such as Thragtusk in favor of some better mana. He has Kurth's Death's Hold, which is very good against the Delver decks, and he has 3 Day of Judgment, which Ben has to respect. This is game 2. Ben won game 1. So they probably have their sideboard cards in. The cards that Brian would have considered his Timely Reinforcements. It's possible he'll definitely bring another Lingering Souls. He has 3 in the main. He has 1 more in the sideboard. He'd probably consider bringing in Divine Offering if he wants to be careful about Runechanter's Pike.
Lundquist, on the other hand, is likely to go with his one-of package of Negate, Dissipate, Sword of War and Peace, and Oblivion Ring. And black removal. Goodbye, insect.
Let's see if there's another insect coming, and there is. Revealing Vapor Snag. Bringing Brian down to 14. Now his hand has a Negate in his hand, and which I think he's probably going to sit on. He's got a Delver he could play, but I think he doesn't want to tap out.
You see the O-Ring and the Negate both from the sideboard.
So a Ponder from Brian. Just having a look at the cards, and I can't quite see his hand, but I do see it on Ben's side. The Thought Scour, the O-Ring, and the Negate that we were talking about. There's another Delver, and there's one other card. So it looks like Brian might be keeping them. Yeah, he is keeping them. He plays an Isolated Chapel.
One of the dangerous things about the Runechanter's Pike versions of Delver is that they get to a point where literally every creature is a killer because of Runechanter's Pike. Mm-hmm. That's something that Ravitz's deck is not able to produce, that we saw just win a little bit earlier. Here is another attack. You can see Gerard Fabiano looking in the background there.
Ben and Gerard are very good friends.
Yeah. Ben is just a really great guy.
Absolutely. Fairly affectionately known as Benny Beatdowns.
And let's do some checks to the top of this. Forbidden Alchemy, what you got?
Alchemy is particularly good in this deck, obviously, because there's some flashback cards, most notably Lingering Souls.
Things are looking quite good for Ben right now.
Yeah, no.
He's got that Negate in hand. He's playing against a deck with only 2 Cavern of Souls to help get out cards like Sun Titan. So he can actually often stop the big end of the deck.
The one thing that I generally like in this deck that Brian does not have.
And we see the counterspell war over Day of Judgment.
He does not have dead weight, which is like one of the like targeted removal spells that could be returned from the graveyard via Sun Titan.
And Brian also does not get a land drop there.
Wow, just like
that's bad times. And the natural flip from because there was no setup for it, so the natural flip of the other Delver knocks Brian to a 1-turn clock. Could be a quick 2-0 victory here for Ben Lundquist.
He has another Day of Judgment, and Ben does not have another counterspell, so I'm pretty sure we'll see a Wrath effect right now. Oh.
So as long as there's not a Snapcaster in Ben Lundquist's hand.
And
Day?
there's a day.
Question mark, question mark?
I think he's probably going to Vapor Snag at least one of them, maybe even both, because he has no threats in hand, so he...
Ben Vapor Snags to reset a Delver for later.
I think he's thinking whether he wants to... He's got 2 other Vapor Snags, so he may just need them to be creatures. Nope,
he lets it go.
I think he's like wants to be able to...
Does he have 2 other Vapor Snags?
Yeah, 2 others.
That means if he can get his Delver to hit once when it's flipped, he could just burn out his opponent.
That may be what he's like trying for. He's worked out that...
Ooh, is that a mana leak?
Yeah, he just drew a mana leak. That's huge.
Well, there is a Cavern of Souls naming Giant, so if Brian can get to a Sun Titan, it will work.
Wow.
Oh, wow. But a mana leak. Yep.
Yeah, wow. That was an important mana leak, because that would have like really put a hurting on Ben. Now, more or less, if it flips here, which
doesn't
does
flip,
not, he would be almost on like
a guaranteed victory. At almost generally like
a weird sort of lethal, if you know what I mean.
Lays another Delver, threatening to kill once again.
Brian's on the back foot.
That actually sounds like a cool album. A weird sort of lethal.
Okay, it looks like he's going to Snapcaster a Wrath, a Day of Judgment. Again, Ben put in the position of like deciding whether he decides to save one of his guys. Again, because if he hits once with a Flip Delver, he'll be able to have a lethal Vapor Snag in his hand.
Day by day. That's the 3rd casting of Day of Judgment this game by Braun-Duin. Oh, he goes with both. Saves them both.
Now he's basically protecting against point removal. Brian does have an extra card in play, basically, with the Nile Spellbomb. So what that will allow him to do is like possibly search for...
Ben daring Brian to cast a 4th Day of Judgment effect this game.
Yep. Okay.
Draw.
Yep, he's gonna... I think he drew a Lingering Souls, which actually is like pretty huge at this point.
Oh, you're right. That is a Lingering Souls. Oof.
That is a really, really good card to draw right now, because you can flash it back and basically suppress all the Delvers.
Now, for Ben Lundquist...
Oh, okay, so he decided to get rid of one, and then I think he's going to cast a Lingering Souls for the other one, or maybe he didn't have it.
Okay, maybe we missaw it, but I thought we saw Lingering Souls. No flip. Augur.
Oh, here's a...
Phantasmal Image?
Yep.
Yeah. Augur says... Mana leak. Kind of a little anemic now at this point.
Yeah, Brian does have a lot, though it's still kind of good against not a lot of stuff, I guess. A Flashback Alchemy. That was probably what it's best against right now.
I think Braun-Duin is going to have to sack that Nile Spellbomb very quickly. The Image is going to probably copy that Augur.
Yeah, I think so. He just needs some more action in his hand, and I don't think he can afford to wait.
And also just being able to, put down a creature to stop even 1 damage, and perhaps find an answer to a Delver, because if that Delver flips without an answer, he's dead. Brian mulling over his options here. Draws a card. Maybe he'll find a Day of Judgment.
Oh, I think he drew a Doomblade.
Doomblade's a good one.
Trying to work out if he hasn't. No, I don't think it's a Doomblade because he only has one, and he's already cast it. So
that's including the sideboard only one. Sun Titan, after all of this time, finally appears. I think that we're having a moment where the question of did Braun-Duin announce his Cavern of Souls or not?
Yeah, they actually changed that such that as long as, like, you don't have to announce it, as long as it, you know.
Wow. Here's the moment. Does it flip?
Oh. He really needed it. Like, he's got a ring here.
Oh, that might, that knocks Brian down to 1. If... Go to 1. Mana Leak back.
So we do know there's a phantasmal image in Brian's hand. Almost definitely has to be cast this turn. So there he goes.
Image on Augur.
Okay. What does he draw? One of them is a sun. Oh, divine
offering.
So it can gain him 1 life.
Hey, then he can draw a card.
Yeah, no, that's the funny thing about these spell bombs. They actually, as long as you can crack it.
Image.
Oh, that's.
Oh, image.
He has to be careful now. He won't be able to cast something that doesn't walk into the.
Oh, that's not exciting. It's back to the flip spot where a flip will kill him.
And he cannot cast it this turn because there's a mana leak there. So.
Flip for the kill again. Boom. Dead.
Yeah, so after a few turns of not getting the flip to go his way, Ben finally flips with a Gitaxian Probe to get the final damage through.